one day he and his band bumped into a bee's nest, and suddenly, whoa! All kinds of bees came after him. Whoa! And the bees came and stung him and stung him and stung all the people. And after that, he got really sick. He had malaria too, and he had fevers. And so, one thing after another, he got sicker and sicker. And his medicines were running low too. He was so sick that when he crossed the river, he could no longer cross the river himself. He had to be carried across the river. And for 80 days, he just sat there in his tent. He was too tired, too weak to go anywhere. But he had his trusty Bible. So he took his Bible to read again and again. In 80 days, he finished the Bible 4 times. The Bible gave him so much encouragement. The Bible, God's Word I can share with everyone, with Africans, with Arabs, with everyone. So they began to carry Dr. Livingstone from one place to another to take a rest. So wanted him to get to a better place, maybe up in the mountains or somewhere. Oops, I'm sorry, I see the time is up already. Can we finish the story next year? No. Next year is okay? No. You're coming back next year, right? No. I don't think Auntie Wendy will let me go on, it's too late. Can we go next year? Auntie Wendy, shall we continue? Yeah. Let's finish the story then. So one night, Dr. Livingstone was by his bed, and he was kneeling by his bed, as he always does, and then he died. His assistants found him in the morning. Dr. Livingstone is dead. He died. So what do we do? What do we do? They were all like up in confusion. What do we do? And then they remembered that Mrs. Livingstone was buried under a baobab tree. We should bury Dr. Livingstone also. How about a Mupundu tree? One of the beautiful trees in Africa, now Zambia. Let's bury him there. But his body maybe needs to go back to London. What do we do? So they came up with a great compromise. How about we bury his heart in Africa? Right under a Mupundu tree. Bury his heart right there. His heart is in Africa, in modern-day Zambia. It's right there. So they carved on the bark, 1873. Dr. Livingstone had lived 60 years, 30 years in Africa. 40,000 miles he traveled, and he died in Africa, the land he loved. Susie and Jumwa, very faithful associates, helped them to pack up the things. There were so many documents they had to pack up. And take all the boxes and seal them with tar to make them waterproof for the long journey to London. Wow, so they had to fix it all up. And then they thought, well, wait a minute. How are we going to get the body over there? So they took the body and they put it out in the sun for 2 weeks to let it dry out. So it'll be a dry body. And then you know what? They wrapped him in lots and lots of cloth, and they put him on oxen to make it look like it was actually clothing and other cotton stuff being sent to the market. Why? Because the people around them did not like dead bodies coming through their villages. And they would kill them if they knew there was a dead body coming through. So on this road, which took them 1 whole year, 1 year, finally Jacob, who spoke a bit more English, escorted the body from the land of Africa all the way back to London. And they buried him in Westminster Abbey, where kings were buried. And the whole nation was in mourning. Whole nation of England, Scotland, Wales were all in mourning, and the USA was in mourning. In fact, all the world that had heard about this was in mourning about the death of David Livingstone. And they also erected a statue at the Royal Society for Geography there, where he had his beloved Bible in his hand. And today, do you know, boys and girls, in Africa, in all the lands that David Livingstone went through, in the southernmost part, especially in the southern half of Africa, more than 50% of people claim that they're Christians. More than 50%. In Zambia, where his heart is buried, in Zambia, 80% of people say that they're Christians. 80%. That's more than America. So that's the legacy of a great and wonderful man. Story is over. Come back next year for another story.